So I'm here with our client, Jitan Patel, the owner of this beautiful house. Firstly, why did you choose to do the renovation?
The reason we actually bought this house was because there was always space to renovate, to do an extension. We initially found our architects first, and it was during that process, during the designing phase, and that's where we decided we wanted it to be efficient. We wanted it to be eco-friendly as much as possible. During that phase, we started to research the different types of heating, etc. there is out there, and that's where we came across Surface Renewables and you and your team. I wanted the house to be energy efficient. I wanted it so that when you turn the heaters on, the house stays warm. You know, there's that loss of heat is very, very minimal. Everything just stays in the house because the house it was before, and I don't know if you remember during the build, a lot of these old existing walls, they were built to have insulation, but in some of the walls it was missing. And then, you know, in the bay windows around the house, in the front room, upstairs, we actually had to retrospectively add that in. Those walls are the same, but to add those in just to make sure if you go upstairs into the loft, into the eaves, it's all fully insulated just to trap that heat in there. So that, you know, your bills hopefully are lower then because you don't have that loss of energy, the loss of heat. So when we researched this and we saw the whole, you can do cooling and heating, and we got in touch with you, we moved in over the summer. And that was the perfect introduction because it was so hot outside, but you didn't realize you walk into this house and you wouldn't feel it. And when we first moved, the first few times we used to walk into the house, because once it was all done, we still weren't living here because we still had furniture being delivered, etc. But when you'd come here to tidy or to do whatever, you would not realize that, I didn't feel sweaty. But as soon as we went back to grandparents' house where we were living for those 13 months, you straight away notice how hot the house was. Only after those, literally the first 1 or 2 times, we just realized, wow, it's a big difference. And I'm so glad we went ahead with it because you just would not feel hot and sweaty and sticky at all. Whereas we were back in that house, you just feel like you're in a conservatory and it's just roasting. Temperatures were high. Had we not come across Surface Renewables, then maybe we would have gone down air conditioning route. But the thing with air conditioning, what I find is that you can turn it on, it'll hit your 18 degrees or whatever, but at some point you're gonna have to turn it off because the room will get too cold, like a fridge. And that's what we didn't want. We wanted something where you can just walk in a t-shirt. It didn't matter if it was December or July, your temperature stays the same and it's comfortable. We didn't need to turn things on or off, etc. So that's one of the reasons why we were against doing air conditioning.
So ultimately we designed this house to be as efficient as possible. We use heat pumps. We use obviously radiant heating and cooling in the ceilings and the walls. We had a ventilation system put in. And this was something you didn't know too much about at the start, but when we start talking about how we're tightening up the fabric of the building, like creating that fresh air and that comfort, and how's that feel for you guys? How's it?
Yeah, so you're right. I wasn't fully aware of that initially. But as we spoke about it, and what I have noticed since we've had it and since we've moved in for the last 2 months is you don't feel any stale air. Before we had the renovation in the old house, we'd wake up every morning and you'd have to open a window because you could just smell, when you wake up, you can smell that must, that kind of sleep in the air. We don't have any of that at all. It's you just wake up and the house just smells fresh. And that's in all the rooms, not just in the bedroom. So something I wasn't familiar with, but so glad we went ahead with that. I don't think I've actually opened a window in this house.
Oh, really? Like to top it all off, we then talk about solar and how you were saying energy saving. Right from the offset was energy saving, and we've installed solar and solar batteries. And how have you sort of found using that?
So that was probably the one thing I did know a little bit about. My parents got solar panels in their house, so we were quite determined to have that here to kind of obviously free electricity, start using the solar panels. We put a battery in to then obviously charge up and use that during the day or night anyway. But it is something I think, if you've got the opportunity to put solar panels in and a battery, it's a no-brainer due to the fact that it's just free electricity.
But we were looking at your app just earlier, and there's nothing. We're not buying anything from the grid. Everything is coming from the solar and the batteries, and right now the house is running off grid, and so that's obviously going to be a massive benefit all year round, right? And
Yeah.
so especially with the heat pump and the ventilation system all running on electricity, the solar is just feeding into that. And I think in the summer, which is great, is that solar is just going to feed that heat pump, and you're going to get free cooling, and the house is going to be ultimately cool for free, and you're not buying anything from the grid. So what is your favorite thing about the system?
Apart from the cooling over the summer, like I said, I think the controls, the ease of how easy it is to use the system on the app, or we have them on the walls here, including the battery as well. I think that's been the most beneficial thing, because it's so easy to navigate. You can see your different zones, you can see your different rooms separate to the bathrooms, easy to control, whether you want to put a timer on, temperatures on. So I think the ease of navigation is probably the most, is probably been the best thing of the app.
Yeah, and I think that's a hero of the Comfort 360 system. It's the integration of the heating, cooling, ventilation, heat pump through one controller to make it easy for our clients. And so, they're not having to navigate through all these different apps. And it should be optimized, naturally, without you having to interfere. And that's what we want. So good. So will you be recommending us to others?
Absolutely.
Yeah.